Let's talk about the game between the Pacers and the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. The Pacers pulled it out. Again, they come back out of nowhere. They have no quit at all. I tell people all the time, you have to play them for 48 minutes because if you lag off, if you know, give less effort, Indiana is going to come back every single time. And again, in these playoffs, they're down, a deficit and they make up for it, force overtime, and they steal game one against the New York Knicks. The Knicks looked really good. Not gonna lie, Mitchell Robinson was really good on the glass, crashing the boards. Cameron Payne gave him some good minutes in that first half, and the Knicks were in control. We saw Mitchell Robinson, rebound effectively. Karl Anthony Towns was really effective. I thought he did a great job being aggressive in the paint. I thought the rim protection from all the New York Knicks players was phenomenal. When the Pacers tried to play at that frenetic pace, they were contesting shots at the rim, challenging them, getting blocks, even from Deuce McBride. He had an awesome block. And then the key sequence in the fourth quarter, which I thought gave the Knicks the win, was when Jalen Brunson picked up his fifth foul to start the fourth quarter. And then the Knicks go on a 14-0 run. It's 108-92. And you think at that point, the Knicks are probably going to close this game out. They're still up 15 points with a little under 5 minutes to go. And then what happens? Brunson hits the step back three. You're thinking at that point, okay, they got this game under wraps. And then Halliburton responds with a three. And then another one from Nesmith. Nesmith goes crazy down the stretch with these 3-point shots. And then all of a sudden, they're down to 2 points. Now, at this moment of the game, I thought it was a huge mistake for the New York Knicks, and I'll explain the mistake in a moment. They're up by 2 points. They inbound the ball, and they barely get it to Josh Hart because he slipped. Nembhard almost had the steal. He, in fact, tipped the ball, and the Knicks get to the free throw line. Towns hits at one free throw. I understand at this point the Pacers are knocking down all the 3-point shots. But why in the world? You've got no timeouts as the New York Knicks. Do you intentionally foul in that moment? I would rather them take a tough three or a contested 3-point shot instead of going to the free throw line because now the Pacers can set up their full court press again. So what happens? They knock down both their free throws. Kudos to the Pacers. Nesmith knocks both these down. And then they almost have another steal. They trap Brunson in the corner. He makes this bounce pass. And luckily OG was there. Otherwise, if Indiana was in that passing lane, they would have stole the ball, probably got an easy layup, and that would have been a massive failure for the Knicks. So I didn't like that sequence from Tibbs deciding an intentional foul. In my opinion, I thought that was just a big mistake. At least dare them, not necessarily dare them, but contest a 3-point shot because at that point, OG goes to the free throw line and he makes one of two. Tyrese Halliburton, this dude is unbelievable. Always clutch. They probably shouldn't have called him overrated because he continues to shut people up. I thought it was a 3-point shot. That would have been a disaster. And then he goes for the choke expression, and he didn't even win the game for the Pacers. And the Knicks respond back and forth in that fourth quarter overtime sequence. There was a goaltend that didn't get called where Turner blocked it, and it looked like the Knicks didn't have enough time to get a chance to challenge it. Credit to the Pacers for constantly putting pressure and playing in transition and getting the Knicks to run with them. It's just a tough loss for the Knicks. Again, the Pacers are a tough team, and they have a really good chance of winning the whole thing. If you don't think this team is capable, you have not been watching the Pacers in these playoffs. They don't give up. We've seen them come back in different sequences. In Game 5 against the Bucks, it looks like the Bucks were ready to force a Game 6. Nope, didn't happen. You look at the game against the Cavaliers, Game 2, where the Cavs had a 7-point lead to look like they were going to tie the series up, and they lose that game. The full court press from the Indiana Pacers is really special. They press you all game long, and again, they just continue to come at you in waves. The turnovers I want to talk about. 7 turnovers for the Pacers, 15 for the Knicks. That has to get cleaned up. I know some of this came in overtime for Brunson. Probably was tired. You played 37 minutes. I know he had the foul trouble, but yeah, you can't have that many turnovers and expect to win a basketball game. OG Anunoby's got to be better than this. He can't shoot 25% from 3. I think he'll bounce back. Cat was phenomenal. And then you look at Mitchell Robinson. I thought his energy out there was fantastic throughout this game. And Deuce McBride did his thing. But they need more from Mikal Bridges. He started out really well, but, we didn't hear a lot about him after the first half. So Mikal needs to be more involved in the shots. I don't like the heliocentric offense that the Knicks run late in fourth quarters because I think they should be even moving the basketball, giving the defense another look instead of Brunson just holding the ball to just, get the shot clock down to 10 seconds and then he goes to work to generate a shot. I think you need to lean off that sometimes because you got to read the moment. The Pacers can make a run, and they did. And when the Pacers were knocking down those threes, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the Knicks cannot afford to turn the ball over. What happened? Rick Carlisle called that challenge, which got them more momentum. And all of a sudden, it's a 2-point game. You're like, what in the world are the Knicks doing? And I know, like, I was first criticizing Tibbs for not challenging the block, but the Pacers were playing such a frantic pace. He probably didn't get a chance to challenge it. But I would like for Tibbs going forward to try to at least look at challenging some calls. I don't see that a lot in these games. Rick Carlisle doesn't hesitate when he gets an opportunity. And for Tibbs, I like to see that going forward. I'm not going to, be hard on him about that situation, but the defense, where they're up by 1 point. Indiana's up one. You get that cutting dunk by Toppin. Just inexcusable stuff. And this is just a bad loss for the Knicks. Credit to the Pacers. I mean, they came back. They don't ever give up in a basketball game. But if you're Tom Thibodeau, you got to tell your guys in the huddle, this team is not out of it yet. When you're up 11, you're up 15, you got to remind them, hey, yes, there's 2 minutes left in the game, but we can't let up. You have to continue to play a full 48 minutes because the Pacers are not going down without a fight. You got to keep your pedal to the metal because if you don't, stuff like this happens. I think this is going to be a long series. I do expect the Knicks to win game 2, but what a performance from the Pacers. They just continue to impress me in these playoffs. They don't give up. Aaron Nesmith down the stretch hit those massive threes to give the Pacers a chance to, send it to overtime. And the bounce by Halliburton, like it bounces off the top of the rim and comes back down. And I'm thinking, did he just make a step back game winning three? He was off by like a foot. I mean, if that dude was a little bit behind the line, oh my gosh, that would have been a huge disaster. It still was a massive failure from the Knicks. Like, you can't have these games and expect to win a championship. That cannot happen. And like I said, you have to play a full 48 minutes. I thought the rebounding was really good by the Knicks. You look at the rebounding from the Pacers, 49 rebounds to 65 for the Knicks. They did have some key offensive rebounds from the Pacers in that overtime session where the Knicks didn't crowd rebound, and that gave them life. So again, possessions are critical in those clutch situations. And unfortunately, the Knicks didn't have enough. I thought Brunson was still phenomenal tonight. You give your team 43 points, 5 assists. He didn't settle a lot for the 3-point shot. I like the fact he only took 6 of them tonight. That's a good number in my opinion. But man, Halliburton just continues to come at you in waves. Aaron Nesmith, even though he can be reckless at time with his defense, sometimes he gets into foul trouble or just commits too many boneheaded plays. 30 points. Again, Miles Turner didn't even have the greatest night. He had 14 points. He still shot well from the field, but Nembhard was solid, and Miles Turner, he could get you more buckets in the next game. I think what the Knicks need is more from Mikal Bridges. Cat and Brunson will be there, but they need more from Bridges and a little bit more from OG and Anunoby. I think the rebounding's fine. Like, they got the advantage at the size for their center and power forward positions. Mitchell Robinson's creating havoc out there, getting them extra possessions. Karl-Anthony Towns as well. So the rebound should be fine. Of course, Josh Hart as well. So I'm not concerned about the backboards. I think the most important part is play an entire 48 minutes. Do not let up. So when the Pacers start making their runs, maybe consider slowing the game down a little bit. Maybe not playing too much heliocentric basketball, because you should move the ball around, get a quality look, make the refs make a call if you're attacking the paint and trying to draw a foul. Those are just some things I would fix them if I'm the New York Knicks. I like, they got 40 free throw attempts compared to the Pacers at 28. So they did, draw a lot of fouls and got to the line, even though the Pacers, the foul discrepancy is not that huge. But again, Brunson was really good. You got to knock down your free throws. I understand if Cat knocks down the free throw line in this situation, but that didn't happen. Or OG Anunoby hit his free throw. There's not a conversation, but it's basketball. And again, you got to read the moment. If I'm Tibbs and you're up 3 points, just let them try to take a three, because if they miss, you're going for the rebound, and they don't have an opportunity to set up their full court ball pressure. That's one of the things that Indiana thrives in. They can pressure the ball and force turnovers and create havoc. They almost did on 2 separate occasions. So if I'm Tibbs and the game is tight, I'm not going to try to intentional foul in that situation. I would go ahead and let them try to take a three, because if they miss, again, you're not giving the Pacers a chance to set up the full court pressure, and you get the rebound and the game's over at that point, right? So, and you have no timeouts. That's why it didn't make sense about that call. It was like, you have to inbound the ball again. You just struggled on the previous possession. I know they got to the free throw line, but it was a struggle and it was a hard watch. So something the Knicks need to improve upon. Just a tough loss, man. This is brutal for the Knicks, and I do expect them to bounce back. But man, the Pacers are just not going to go down without a fight. I think it's going to be a 7-game series, in my opinion. You can go either way with who you think is going to win. But yeah, what an amazing finish. I thought it was a great basketball game all around. And we shall see how the Knicks respond in game 2. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the game between the Pacers and the Knicks. What should the Knicks do to make adjustments? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.